Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I'm your host, Max Keller Halls, and with me today I have.
It's me, Emily. You know me from other episodes of this show. But if you don't, you should go and watch those videos after you watch this one because they're all pretty good, I think.
I think they're pretty good too. Yeah, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail, we're going to get a little political in this episode by talking about Civil War, the
Yep.
newest. Oh, fuck, what's his name?
Alex Garland.
Alex Garland film. Yeah, of all the notes I forgot to put down, he's the director's name.
I've
Um,
never watched a single one of his movies, but I do remember his name.
Me neither. Actually scratched it. I've seen one of his films. Do you want to guess what it is?
Was it Men? Because you saw Man in the title and you were like, shit, I'm one of those.
No. You know what? I just dread.
What are. Oh,
He did. He did dread.
I did not know that. That discredits him even further. Excellent.
What? You don't like
Was that movie good? I
Dread?
never.
Dread's really good.
Interesting. I never heard anything good about it from the people in my life who saw it at the time, so that is fascinating. I will have to
Really?
watch it and then give a real opinion.
I mean, I think it's like a really solid like action film. Like I think it's actually better political commentary than what this film is. But we'll get there. Um, yeah, Dredd is awesome, man. Like it's a solid action film, and Carl Urban is fucking awesome as Judge Dredd.
I do like Carl Urban,
Yeah,
so
like
I'm inclined to believe you.
yeah, he's really good. Like it's not like your Sylvester Stallone Judge Dredd. This is like a scary Judge Dredd.
Am I getting these movies confused? Did I just shit on Alex Garland for no reason?
I think you might have because there is two Judge Dredd films. Or now this is a review of Dredd.
Yeah, the shit one with Sylvester Stallone's the one I'm
Yeah,
thinking
the
of.
Sylvester Stallone one gets the character wrong entirely, and then years later they did a gritty reboot.
And it didn't suck?
It did not suck. It was. I think it's really good. It's really solid. It's really gritty. If you like good violence, you would like that. He wrote the film, and then years later, Carl Urban came out and said, "Oh yeah, actually, Alex Garland directed this film." So the guy who's actually credited is apparently not the director, which I kind of feel bad for that guy. I feel bad for this guy. He's not a name like Alex Garland, but like you don't have to put him down like that. Like he still directed.
Yeah.
He was still there. I don't know behind the scenes like that, but again, go watch Dredd.
Not this,
Not
probably.
this film is about a not too distant future alternate America in that is currently going through a civil war because the president is going on his third term, and from what you hear about, because they don't ever really go into it, is he was committing drone strikes on American soil. So yeah,
Interesting.
yeah. I believe there's like three factions, or I don't. It's weird because they never really
There's
go.
four. One of them is just California and Texas.
Yes, that is the one that kind of breaks this entire movie for me because I'm like, okay, if you they really wanted like an apolitical stance by doing that because that makes no sense.
Yeah. Those states aren't even contiguous by land.
Exactly.
Let's start there.
I'm just gonna say I did not enjoy this film. I definitely think it has a lot of great scenes and elements to it. Like I'll say them right off the top. I think Kirsten Dunst is a great actress or great actor, and I think she really carries the film overall. And I like her character. But I think the characters that I really liked was Wagner Moura and Stephen McKinley Henderson, who play like her friends in the film. Specifically Stephen McKinley Henderson because he's like the only like normal human being, I guess you can say, and that like he's he's understanding that the situation at hand is scary and crazy, but he's also like, look, I'm out to do this one thing. I'm just gonna get to this one place and then I'm done. And but Wagner Moore is the more fun character in the film. He's like the pot smoker. He's loud and abrasive. He goes into the action, wanting to get the best shot, kind of thing. And yeah, but they're great acting all around in the film. I think the scenes that like there's some scenes that I really think are really well directed. Like the scene that everybody likes to talk about, which is Jesse Plemons' cameo in the film, which is not a spoiler because they put it all over the fucking marketing. It's really good. It's really tense. I think he does a great
Nice.
job in the scene that he's the one scene that he's in. There's one scene halfway through the film that involves a sniper, and the two snipers in question are really funny because they end up in this abandoned like winter wonderland during the summer, so it's kind of this weird like Christmas music is playing and there's Christmas decorations, but it was left in a hurry. So like it's all still left there. And there's these two snipers. There's actually well three snipers. Two of them were following, and there's one over on the other side. And what I like about the scene is it kind of it's somewhat funny in that like the journalists are trying to ask like who you guys with and who are you fighting right now, and he's like, well, we're just here. And do you is he shooting at you? Yeah. Then we're fighting him.
It's funny.
And like you could tell they've been there so long because they've got like painted nails. They're like guys in like full like soldiers in full body camo with like painted nails and greenish blue hair kind of thing. It's a really interesting visual that you don't see a lot. You could tell that they've just been there so long they just decided to do this. Like they're talking so much that the guy who's actually sniping just goes, "Will you shut the fuck up?" Um, yeah, that's it. That's what I
Um,
liked. Um, I think what I would ultimately call this film, and I don't know if this is an actual word or if it's a phrase, but I would say that this film is trigger porn.
yeah. How so?
In that, like, there is a bunch of really disturbing imagery throughout this entire film. Like, there's a part where you see two dead bodies just hanging there, and then you get a close up of these beaten people that are still alive and the bloodied faces and stuff. But to me,
Ugh.
all it is just a disturbing image that ultimately has no meaning because this film ultimately takes a very apolitical approach to things. I saw the new Rockstar video about this, so again, if my opinions do align with them, I'm sorry, but I do agree with some things that they say. But just I don't want to repeat anything that they're saying because this is our review and I don't want to repeat their review. But they brought up an interview with Alex Garland explaining why he decided to make those two states align, and he said, "Well, you would hope in a situation where the president is committing drone strikes on American soil that they'll put political differences aside and go after this person."
The film is not apolitical. It is political. It's just political by inference rather than statement. So you to get to the politics, you have to follow inferences. And the context is this. There is a fascist president. The president is killing their own citizens, has been smashing the Constitution and put themselves in a three-term position, and has dismantled one of the legal systems that might threaten them. And then what's happened is two states who are in famously difficult, different political positions are saying we are more concerned about a fascist constitution smashing violent president. We are more concerned about that than we are about our political differences. So that is saying that there is something more important than polarized politics. And then there's a counter to that, which is if you cannot conceptualize that polarized politics could be overcome in order to combat a fascist president, what is that saying about the nature of polarized politics? So that is a political statement, but it's all by inference.
And I'm listening and I'm thinking, no, that's not what would happen.
No.
That's cute that you believe that, British man. But that's not how that shit works here. Like,
Yeah. Wait, is Alex Garland British?
he is.
That's fucking hilarious. So this movie is just like his "What if America went to war" fanfiction?
Exactly. And like, here's the thing: I have no problem with political satire. Like, I love it. I love
Yeah.
good political satire. Like one of my favorite, and I'm pretty sure you may not like the film overall, but like I really like Don't Look Up. I thought that was a
That's
really
fair.
funny look at like a situation that would happen nowadays.
I never watched that one, but I did watch The Big Short and Vice, which were both movies by that same director, and I at least tolerated both. I liked Big Short.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I like Big Short. Big Short is one of my favorite films of all time.
I fucking love The Big Short. Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. And Vice, if you want to watch political satire, Vice is that.
Yeah.
It's it's a lot on the nose.
Oh, it's very
It's
on the nose.
one of the most on the nose movies ever made. I guess aside from this, I'm still like I'm baffled that he's British. Like, dude, worry about your country.
No, you know what the thing is? Like, you know, his first film was like 28 Days Later, right?
Sure, that
Yeah.
makes sense.
So he's British, and he made this film, and Men is also British. It's interesting, like what this film's angle is that it's deciding to be a commentary on journalism and war photography, and ultimately what you point your camera at, and like what gets shown, like how does the overall like public and the day to day people view this event going on.
Right.
That's an interesting take. However, I feel like this film uses a concept of an American Civil War and kind of wastes it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're a country that has experienced a civil war in the past. Pretty much everybody knows why we fought that original Civil War. And even
Yep.
how some of those people are still here today. And
Yep.
what I mean by that is the people that lost are ultimately still here today. And to
Yeah.
make a movie that decides we're not going to make any of that clear and have none of that make sense kind of makes your ultimate like film in the end just again come off as trigger porn, because there is something really disturbing about seeing urban warfare that you'd see like in the Middle East, or at least in like war photography, and just
Right.
imagine that urban warfare in these big cities, like American cities like Washington DC. Like there's something really disturbing about seeing tanks and our soldiers walking through the scenes gunning down other soldiers that look just like them. Like it's really just that is disturbing to watch, because it's like it's just unsettling. Like because the film ultimately is violent. Like it is a very violent film. Um, and another thing that I didn't like is the sound design is really really loud. Like
Yeah. War movies tend to hit that pitfall.
not well. I've seen a lot of war films in like 1917 or Saving Private Ryan, but the reason why I say it's trigger porn because every gunshot in this film is like if they just maximize the audio on all of the gunfire. So when you're at the end and you're just like all these missiles and shit and explosions, going by, you
Right.
really hear everything, but it's so ear bleedingly loud. It's just an unpleasant experience. Not in a good way though, where it's like that was the intention, which I do think it was, but I don't like it when they, again, with the shaky cam thing that we talked about in a different review. I don't like people doing aesthetically unpleasing things for the audience in a film, because I'm like, well, I'm trying to watch your film, not like want to turn it off or turn it down in any way.
I will only slightly disagree with that point on the basis that I do think that doing things that are intentionally unpleasant or displeasing for the audience has a place in the language of filmmaking.
All
But I
right.
think doing it consistently or across long periods of time, or when you could have made your point in a different way and you're just kind of hammering it home in an obnoxious way, which like I'll call attention to Gaspar Noé here, who is a director who does this, and I don't like it when he does this.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, where it's like he does a bunch of really horrible shit aesthetically to bring home the point that horrible things are happening in his movies. And it's like, no, dude, I know. Like, that kid is dead. You don't have to, like, hammer it home by doing, like, whatever the fuck you're doing with the camera right now. I get it. Like, we can.
Oh man, you're so right. I wouldn't mind if like a couple shots in this film, like the sniper scenes or the scenes with Jesse Plemons' character, being really loud, because the scenes in question are in very quiet locations, like just open fields kind of thing. And like,
Right.
and yeah, like I don't mind it if it was in those points, because yeah, when you hear like a gun, again, I've shot guns before. I know how loud they can be, so I do appreciate when they can do that. However, I can suspend my disbelief for certain movies when it comes to gunshots because I just want to watch the film. And I feel like, again, like everything that this film is trying to do is focusing in the wrong direction.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, how so?
ultimately, like, if you're going to release a movie called Civil War about a modern day American Civil War during an election year, I would hope that your film focuses on the idea of like how would like our country now, with the political environment we are in now, get to this point and be a cautionary tale about that. But instead, it's deciding to be like, oh no, this just happens. How are we as a people going to like react to that? It's not because it doesn't feel like a cautionary tale. It just feels like a story that just wants to talk about uh, war journalism and war
Right. And
photography.
like, I'm gonna be real. I feel like making up a scenario in which people are taking photos of like depraved, horrid actions as opposed to like intervening or stopping them and doing it for sensationalized journalist purposes. You don't have to like make up a situation where that happens. That's just
Exactly.
famously happened a lot.
Exactly. And apparently, again, this is from the new Rockstar video. They said that controversial photographer and quote unquote news pundit or journalist Andy No,
Yeah.
some of his uh, photos and videos are used as background images and used as like B-roll in this film.
I I did know that. Yeah, which is fucking insane.
Which
Um
I'm which I think is just like, well, again, it's like, so you're going to be political about the B-roll, but not the actual film. I'm not a inherently political person. I don't understand politics that much. All I know is that my beliefs are that like I don't like seeing oppressed people continue to be oppressed. I don't like fascism. I don't like nationalism. That's the things that I stand very strong on. But again, if I'm going into a film like this, I would want at least some kind of message to be said, other than what like
yeah.
we're always chasing
I'll
after the fucked up image. Like, okay,
yeah.
sure, like I don't know, it just
I was going to bring up because I didn't watch this movie, so my research for this episode was I read reviews about it because I didn't have time to sit down and watch it.
don't.
Um, Great. Okay. Awesome. But I do want to bring up a quote from another review that I think really speaks to your point and puts it into so many words. Which is it was a review that was published in the Hollywood Reporter by Aisa Olin that criticized the movie on the basis that it was lacking a point and that most of its political commentary, quote unquote, falls flat because it refuses to explicitly address the political issues
Mm-hmm.
that are ostensibly causing this war.
Yep.
And she specifically says this movie can't address a problem it can't name. And that's like,
Oh my god,
I
that's
think,
so
a
true.
really,
Yeah,
yeah,
that basically sums up my thoughts in very few words. Damn it, I'm not smart. But I mean, yeah, again, don't base your entire political ideology on me. I am not. Again, I'm not that smart. I'll just be that. I love movies, but I also know what I like and what I don't like. And with this film, I just think it was just wasted potential. And ultimately, this is what I thought coming out of the movie. When the Purge election year has more political commentary than your film called Civil War by A24, I think you have a problem.
that's yeah. And I think it really does speak to this sort of idea. And I mean, we joked about the director being British, but I do think there's something to be said about filmmaking that is explicitly removed from the issues that it's talking about.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't want to have a British person sit there and talk to me about the problems of my country in a film that doesn't take a freaking political stance. Like, I don't need to hear that.
I agree.
Like,
Here's the thing, vice versa. Like, I
yeah,
don't want to see an American film like talk about Brexit and had not talk about Brexit. You know what I mean?
yeah. Like, I want to see an American director like. I don't know, Adam McKay or something, make a movie that tries to do both sides of the issue on Brexit. It'd be the funniest shit I'd ever watch. Like, that's, no one would take that seriously.
Exactly.
So I don't know why A24 of all studios is like, yeah, we need this movie about an American Civil War that doesn't take a political stance and is by a guy who is directly uninvolved in every single issue that comes up in this movie.
Yeah. Which
The A24 releases a lot of challenging, complex movies.
that's it. Thank you.
And I think that the fact that this movie shies away from being challenging is deeply, deeply frustrating. Or shies away from being challenging in any sense that matters, right? Because it's like, it's certainly challenging to show graphic imagery of like war violence and like Americans killing other Americans, right? Like that can certainly be disturbing and emotionally effective, but if you're not saying anything with it, then what was the fucking point?
Especially when your main characters in the film are all war photographers who their entire point of the film, and like in just war photography in real life, is to be out of the violence, just photographing it.
Yeah.
So,
Which again, if you want to make a movie about war journalism, make a movie about war journalism, but don't invent this alternate future Civil War America conflict that carries so much more implication to tell a story that could have been told in any less directly incendiary setting.
yeah, exactly. And like, even so, like, again, I just think it's trigger porn, and that like, hey, what are some things that we can say that can really get a rise out of the audience and like really like get some keyboard clicks and stuff. It's like they were afraid of any like backlash, which again, then don't make the film.
Yeah.
Like, if you're afraid of this concept, don't make it. Make it a comic book or something, graphic novel. Like, do anything. Make it a book. Like, you could do anything because people who like to get triggered don't read anyway.
Yeah. And it's just, I don't know. It's just, I am deeply frustrated that A24 would choose to release something like this. Especially considering, again, they have released movies that are so much more overtly political. Like, I'll call attention to Noah Baumbach's adaptation of White Noise, which is a fascinating, if very weird movie that I do recommend watching because it's good if you just kind of have to get over the fact that it's very odd because it's based on a very odd novel. But that movie takes a very direct, overt political stance. And to see, like, that movie, which was good because it was like, this is what we are saying. This is directly, we are making fun of X, Y, and Z. This is explicitly the stance that we're taking about like nuclear war and Cold War and Hitler and stuff like that. And to this movie, which is like, guys, don't worry about the complexities or theoretical implications of this setting. This is just a movie about war journalism. Don't worry about it, please. Mm-hmm. But also look at all of this disturbing stuff, guys. Talk about it on Twitter, guys. This movie is meant to both make you upset and say nothing at the same time.
Which, again, is the kind of movie that I usually do not like. And I mean, it did its job. I'm upset, but not in the way that I want to be. Which is weird to say, but you know what I mean. Like, I am down for movies to make me upset if they earn it. I'm sure I can present an example if you give me a second to like think. American Psycho? American Psycho is a good one. I was going to say Uncut Gems. There's another example of a movie that induced no positive emotion in me whatsoever. That is, again, another A24 film. Again, you're so right. Like, again, even down to the sound design thing, it is intentionally unpleasant to watch. However, it's really good. It is. It earns being unpleasant to watch because everything, even the parts of it that are deeply anxiety-inducing and upsetting and frustrating, all feel intentional. It's almost mechanical in that sense, where it's like everything has its place. Every bit of this movie feels like it's working together to create one cohesive experience of feeling. Yep. Which is what I think the Safdies excel at as directors. And I feel like you can't do that if your movie doesn't have a unifying central commentary to make that goes beyond the surface level of, isn't war journalism a bit fucked up? Because yes, we've known that since Abu Ghraib. Like, this isn't new or relevant commentary. We have known how fucked the industry of taking photos of atrocities is for so long, and it frustrates me. It's like a movie coming out in the year of our Lord 2024 to tell us that racism, it's bad, and not like providing additional commentary. No, it's like, dog, we know. Like, we are aware.
And it's like I hate when movies have such surface level political commentary and are like just reinforcing things that most people already believed. And it's like, great, awesome. Do you have anything new to offer? No. Why did you spend $30 million making this movie then? Why did I spend $15 to watch it? Like,
I only spent 7, but
yeah.
You know what I kind of compare it to, and I thought of this just now. It's imagine if you took Dune 2 and all of its really complex like themes and morals and just boiled it down to, ain't war bad?
Yeah. And it's like, wow, fucking really? Like that's
that's the
yeah.
one you're
It's
going
also
for.
crazy because I know that this wasn't the point of that comparison, but you're also really illustrating the point that Dune, a novel that is 80 years old, not 80 years old, 60 years old, is more complex and relevant political commentary than this movie that was made in 2024.
I know. I can't. And I was totally like for it when I heard about this movie. I was like, oh, that sounds like a really cool idea. Like, I mean, I know it's gonna be very disturbing to watch. Like, I think you could get a lot of you have a lot to say about this, and like, I'm curious how they're gonna say this. Like, because I
And you know what? I'll even point to one of Garland's other movies. Annihilation is a movie that earns the disturbing stuff.
Mhm.
And that was this same director. So I don't know, like, is this just a guy who can't do movies that aren't adaptations? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, it just feels neutered.
Yeah, I can imagine. This would be an interesting one to see, like, the first pass screenplay of it.
Oh,
I would be
yeah.
very curious to see how that looks compared to the final film.
Because I can see you taking like a very well-rounded view on this kind of concept. Because if you were to do like your research and try to get in the minds of certain political ideologies and then do this kind of film, I think that would be really interesting. That way, like if you wanted to do a quote unquote apolitical style film and to show everyone's point of view, and then ultimately like you guys think who was right or wrong, even though like they're clearly
Yeah.
right or wrong. You know what I mean? Like just an interesting like take on this modern day civil war. But like whenever you're gonna do a film about any civil war, except for like the Marvel one, uh, like I feel like people are kind of like, all right, let's see how this goes. Because I remember like the Game of Thrones boys, the D&D, they wanted to do a TV show about what if like the Confederacy won the Civil War, and it's kind of like how the Man in the High Castle was a show, was a concept,
Right.
and they wanted to do their version just of the Civil War, and collectively the audience who heard about that said, "No, we don't want
Yeah.
that. That sounds horrible."
Yeah, I hope that it would be like dragons randomly appear in the last third because of some character decides that she needs to blow up Chicago, and then Chicago gets nuked by dragon fire, and that's how that one ends. This movie does not seem like it was worth the like 20 to 30 minutes that we've dedicated to it.
I can't believe this. I mean, I knew this video. I mean, I'm gonna title this "Civil War Movie Review" brackets. We get political.
Yeah.
But I just,
Well, have we even gotten political? How can you get political about a movie that says nothing?
I guess, yeah. I guess, I mean, yeah. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I have not said a single political thing this episode other than like Abu Ghraib and racism were bad, which I don't think are political stances. I think those are just facts.
I mean, we'll probably piss off certain people that I would love to piss off, but
Yeah. I wanna meet that person who genuinely thinks that those are good things, just to see how someone fucking justifies that. But at any rate, it's impossible to get political about a movie that says nothing. I don't think we've said anything. Me and Joe Allen, our gruesome twosome episodes, love trying to cancel you, Max. But I can say, in the entire run of this episode, you have not said anything even remotely cancel worthy because there's nothing in this movie that takes enough of a stance to say something cancel worthy about.
You ready?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Like and subscribe, guys.
You said it there.
It's fucking awesome. Oh, fuck. All right, that the episode.
Thank you for listening to us. Have some fun getting not political. Um, please like, subscribe, and share. We currently have a new show up on our Patreon called Million Dollar Media After Dark. It is our not safe for work version of the show, in which we talk about just more adult content. I think the first episode was a lot of fun. It's a bit different from our normal content, but I think you guys will enjoy. Please stay tuned for the rest of the month of May because we're going to be going through May Monkey Madness, in which we talk about the Caesar trilogy of the Planet of the Apes films leading up to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that. And I can't wait to do that. That's all I got to say. Bye.